My name is Joseph Mintz, and I'm the manager for Windmill Hall A and B. And I also am an avid Magic player. So the game works, there's 4 varieties of cards. There's lands, instances, sorceries, and creatures. And then there's a few more they threw in recently called enchantments and artifacts. But primarily you have mana, which is basically, you can think of it as money to be able to build and use things. And then primarily you'd start off kind of with creatures. Those are your front line, sort of like your soldiers. And then you have instances and sorceries that you can use, but they don't stay. It's like a one-shot, you're done. And you kind of use those to either target other players or other creatures. And basically each player is we call them a planeswalker, so they're actually in the game. They have a set life total, and so you'll play each other, and there's 2 ways to win. You can either drop their life to 0, or you can have them run out of a deck. Although there's also a few cards that say you just win, but those don't really come around that often. There is also Infect, where you get 10 poison counters and you lose. Most people are not a fan of that though, but it is possible. I have played Infect. Most of the time I win, but that's just because I'll just take the damage. Normally it's not too powerful, so you can just kind of take the hits and then retaliate once the creatures are tapped. So basically when your creatures attack, they're like a wall, so when they attack they leave you exposed. And so when they attack with our Infect, then my creatures are bigger because they're supposed to go after life instead of just poison counters, so I will retaliate. However, it does basically Infect. What it generally does is it just drops your life down to 10, where you normally start with 20 and then you can increase it however much you want. It doesn't matter how much you gain, you're set at 10.
How did you start playing?
Alright, so it was, let's see, back in 07, let's see, ooh. This was back in 2003, I believe. Me and my brother got together with some people, and then we went down to Portland to some of the card shops. We got around seeing what they played. At that time, Yu-Gi-Oh was pretty popular, but most of the people owning the card shops played Magic. It had been around since 1993, and after kind of playing a bunch of card series games before, I quickly realized that you generally want to kind of jump in with what the owners of the shops do. So I started picking up there. I started off with beginner decks and started working my way up. And since I was playing with the owners, they kind of gave me the download strategies and the new sets coming out. In 2007, I started playing tournaments. And then in 2008, in Seattle, I ended up going to the regional level. And I almost won 10,000 bucks, but the guy beat me by, I had him the next turn, but the game takes turns one at a time. And on his turn before it could get to me, he ended up beating me, so I lost out.
I swear to God, if you have another one of those things, I'm gonna be very upset. Okay, I attack. Do you do anything? Okay. Tap. Are you serious? Oh no! No, stay away from me! I lose.
Once you get a combo in your hand early on, if there's some winning combinations you can get, like back when I played, there was Channel Fireball. So if early on, you get the Channel, if you can draw like 1 or 2 cards and you get the Lightning Bolt and a Blaze, you can win the game turn 3, which was pretty incredible. That was when I was first starting out, so I wasn't that good. I also like the we call it Life Siphon. So they've come out with it again with Extort in the new set. It's a little bit slower. Back when I played, you basically would just, you kind of think of like vampires, you take the life force out of them. So you start with 20, and then hopefully by turn 4, they're down to 10, you're up to 30, which you can kind of use their own health as a wall you can just absorb the damage they send at you, which is pretty sweet. So those are the combos I like. So starting into the game, they used to have starter, beginner, and advanced decks, but they don't do that anymore. There's the ones you can see with the card on the front, and then there's the tournament decks. You don't really get to see what's in the tournament decks, but my advice would be buy one of those. So it kind of comes out with the strategies and it has some key cards. And then I'd also recommend buying a box, because when you buy the box, you don't get all the really rare cards for a set, but you normally get about a fourth. And so you can take those, put them into a deck that you can kind of see how it functions. So I'd practice with the one you can function with. Then once you see what works and what you don't really need, you can take those key cards you got out of your box, put them in there, and then you're normally set to go, at least for the first round in a tournament, I'd say. I'm a big avid fan for Magic just because I think it also teaches you to kind of think critically. When I first played it, there was the key stuff you saw, like when the pre-built decks, that you could see the theme, how they played, but as you play more and more, you see nifty little tricks you can do. And so you really want to think about what all types of things there are. So more recently, I've started looking at like reciprocals. So there'll be cards that say, if you damage opponent, draw a card. And there'll be other ones that say, when you draw a card, damage a player. And so basically that sets up infinite combos. And so I started looking at that. And I think as an accounting and finance major, that kind of helps me think about equations and like balancing books for debits and credits and stuff like that. So I think it's a really good academic basis as well.